Now we're going to have a look at the back wheel, or the back hub. The first thing we need to do to take it out of the bike is to put it into the bottom cog on the back and the bottom cog on the front. It gives us the most amount of chain to play with to get the wheel out. We release the brakes. Open the quick release, slide the wheel out, pull the derailleur back, and it'll just come out nicely like that. This is an early model Shimano cassette hub. It's a little bit different to the more recent ones. Instead of having a lock ring holding the cassette on to the hub, the outside cog has a thread on it and it holds all the rest of the cogs on. So for this type of cassette hub, you needed 2 chain links. One on one of the inside cogs and one on the outside cog. Like that. And we're unscrewing this outside cog and we just pull all the others off. And you'll notice, unlike more recent cassette hubs, these have a different spline shape to the later ones, and they're not interchangeable. And often these early ones are separate. To service the bearings in the cassette hub, the actual hub bearing is hidden within this cassette body. So if you're just going to service the hub and it feels okay, we assume that this bearing is okay, because to get to it, to get grease in there, is quite a big job, and if it feels like it doesn't need rebuilding, we spare them that expense. We're going to assume that the locked cone and lock nut are the right hand side one. We're just going to work on the hub from the left hand side and squirt some grease into this side. Check the cone because this is the one that's more likely to have water in it because it's very exposed. The 17mm lock nut, and we unlock it. That's tight. Unscrew the lock nut. Take note of the spacing, and there's actually 2 of them. Unscrew the cone. It felt a little bit loose, but it didn't feel gritty, so we can assume that it's not had dirt in there. Providing this bearing surface looks okay, we're not going to rebuild this hub. We're just going to put some more grease in there. Like the front hub out of the same bike is in remarkably good condition. It has a wear line and there's no pitting there at all. So we can say that that hub is in pretty good condition. I'm just going to squirt some grease in here. Don't need a great deal. You'll only just get squeezed out again if you put too much in there. And we screw the cone back on. Just do it finger tight. Put the spacers back on in the same order as they came off. This lock nut actually has 2 different sides. It has a serrated side and a smooth side. And the serrated side faces out, so it grips on the rear dropouts of the bike. Now we just take an arbitrary position, same as we did with the front hub. You get it about what you think is right. Tighten up the lock nut. take it out of the vise, have a feel, and it's way too tight. Unlock the lock nut, back off the cone because it's too tight, just about say a quarter of a turn this time, and then lock it up with the lock nut. Take it out, have a feel. I'm trying really hard to make that axle move within the hub and I can't get it to rock. And then we can have a spin of the wheel and it feels smooth and the wheel will just keep spinning, and there's no tight spots in it because the axle's not being flicked out of my fingertips. It feels good for a medium quality hub. One thing with these first generation cassette cogs, they will actually go on either way, but there's a little arrow with index written above it with pointing towards a direction of drive. They will actually work on backwards, but they recommend that you do them one particular way. So put these on as they came off. One of the advantages with this old system was that you could interchange one cog at a time. If you just wanted to change the ratio of one, or if you just wore one cog out, you could just change the one cog. So we're back to screwing on the locking cog. You screw that on there finger tight. Get our chain whip and lock the cogs on. So we only need one chain whip this time, of course, just to tighten that one up. This is the drive direction, so we just do it as pretty much as tight as we can. And the lever always goes on the non-drive side, the left-hand side. Screw the nut on, just so. You get used to how far that goes on. It's about 6mm required on each side, and then we put it back into the bike and adjust it.